What's up? And Happy New Year. Yeah, it's been a minute, guys. I have not seen you guys in a while. Thank you for the gifts. I got all sorts of presents in the mail, Amazon. I know that was you guys. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, let's just get straight into the picks. The last time I talked to you guys was before Christmas. Apologize. A couple things have happened. Obviously, holidays, family stuff, all that kind of fun, that kind of crap. But on top of that, I did get a new TV, a new computer. And so let's try this out. Let me know how the quality on this looks because it's new, pretty much everything. Let's get into it, though. I'm going to have two picks for you for Week 18. Very similar picks. Honestly, they're both in the same division. But on top of that, just to give you a little background on how the last 2 weeks went for me, and I only bet like literally 2 games over the last 2 weeks. Went 1-1. The last one from last week was the win, and it was the Ravens under with the Steelers. Cleared pretty handily. It was at 35. The final score was like 19 or something like that. I can't remember now, but it was a pretty sweat-free win. So that's good. And honestly, the reason I'm bringing that up is because I'm going to go pretty much back to the well on that one. And the first pick I'm going to give you today is this is more of feel and kind of a spot play. And I think that you'll see that when we start talking about it. So I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of numbers for the first one. The second one we'll kind of talk about a little bit more. So the first pick here is the Ravens-Bengals under. Now, I got this at under 40.5 just this morning, which is the 6th. But it's already down to 39.5, and people are going to keep banging this under. Really, there's a few reasons, but primarily it's because of the injuries to the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, who really was expected to play in this game, and in my opinion, I think probably should be ready. Given, every medical professional has come out saying, like, hey, he should be good now with that knee sprain. He's not playing. It seems like that's more of a holdout issue than an injury, but either way, it doesn't seem like he's going to be going in this game. Secondly, though, Tyler Huntley, who is his backup, also has an injury. Now, he has, I believe it's like shoulder tendonitis or something like that. He's officially listed as questionable. I probably am leaning towards him just not playing in this game, and that brings us to reason number 3, and that is because this game means very little to almost absolutely nothing for both of these teams. The most likely outcome, regardless of who actually wins this game, is that both of these teams rematch with each other next week in the playoffs. So a couple of things on that note. Number one, why are you going to risk injury to any of your, key players right before the playoffs start, right? And that is pretty much the same note for just about every team that's clinched a playoff spot. But number two, if you believe and there's a strong chance that you're going to play this exact same team who is also a divisional opponent the following week for the playoffs, for your playoff lives, why would you put anything on tape when winning this game doesn't do anything for you? The Bengals essentially have locked up the division. There's no way that the Ravens can win because of the weird circumstance last week, and I apologize, hats off, I didn't even mention it, but to Damar Hamlin, obviously, I know everyone else has touched on that. I don't really want to get into it too much. Bad situation, I hope the guy, it sounds like he's doing okay. I hope he's able to do what he wants to do moving forward. But anyways, enough for that. But the fact of the matter is, in this game, regardless of who wins, the Bengals win the division. So the only thing the Ravens could possibly have to play for here is that possibly there's like these weird scenarios and outcomes where they get to host a home field game because of some like concessions that are being made. It doesn't seem like that's likely in the first place, especially since they're 10-point dogs, and it seems like, again, odds are they're going to be either with their backup quarterback or possibly their third-string quarterback. So, like I said, I don't think that that's really in the cards. They have to have a lot to go into that. And so if I'm the coach, right, if I'm John Harbaugh, I'm looking at the most likely scenario for next week when the playoffs, the games actually matter, and saying, I don't want to put anything else on tape. I want to just get out of here safe. I want all my players healthy and get ready for next week. And in that case, the Ravens were already not a great offensive team. The Bengals defense is really, really good, especially in the second half. We've gone over that pretty much all season. The Bengals on the other side have even less to play for. There's no reason for them to put out their star players, Joe Burrow or Chase or even T. Higgins, who knows how he's feeling because he had a part of that injury with Damar Hamlin. I would not be surprised if a lot of these Bengals players sit by halftime, if not the whole game. So I'm taking the under. Like I said, I got the under 40.5 earlier today. I still like it at 39.5. If you wanted to do just the first half, I believe the first half right now is still at 20. So if you want to get that little bit of value, that's also out there. The only reason I'm not taking the first half in this game is because if the starters do play, and if there's going to be any chance of us getting like a real quote-unquote game out of this, it's probably going to be in that first half. So I'm not touching it. I'm just taking the under for the full game at 40.5. Like I said, if anything, you may want to buy it to the 40 just in case somebody gets kind of a hair up their ass and this ends up being like the 24-16 game, something like that. 40 is not necessarily a key number, but depending on where you're looking at, just try and find the 40. That way you don't have to buy it. But either way, that's the first pick. Secondly, again, like I said, it's going to be within the same division. This is Browns-Steelers at under 41. So this line has also already started to come down. It's at 40.5 right now. 40.5 still has some value. 41 actually is a key number, especially when it comes to these lower scoring games or expected lower scoring games. Something like 24-17. Somewhere in that ballpark is probably what, more or less what you can expect from these teams on a good day. Now, this one is more of a numbers play for me. Both the Steelers and the Browns have not really put up a whole lot of offense in general. Now, if we look at just their game log or their game schedule for the last couple weeks, and this one's going to be the Browns here. The Browns won, and they put up 24 points against a Washington team that just didn't seem like they wanted to be there. It doesn't seem like they're really playing with their hearts out for Rivera anymore, and they won 24-10. So still with the under, and they only put up 24 points. Secondly, they lost to the Saints, only put up 10 points in that game. Of these two games, Deshaun Watson looked okay in the second half of the Washington game, and that's probably the best that I've seen him play this year since he started playing again. But even at that, it was against a Washington team that just seemed like they didn't really want to be there, that really wasn't putting up a whole lot of fight offensively or defensively. A Washington defense is not necessarily the best anyways, and obviously it's not a divisional opponent. So I don't think that Deshaun Watson is going to play like that for a full game. I think that was good to see. It kind of gives us a little bit of a highlight for him. Maybe there is some hope for him. Maybe he's starting to turn the corner. But I think it's very hard to expect a full game of that, especially against the Steelers. But going back one more week, and this is the divisional game, they won 13-3 against the Ravens. Now, obviously, this was against, not Lamar Jackson. That's what's important. And yeah, their defense played fine. They limited it to 3 points. And in all these games, really, the Browns defense played great. They limited their opponents to 10, 17, and 3. So they're not giving up a whole lot of points to any of these teams. And really, none of these teams are spectacular offenses in the first place. But the fact that they're able to go out there and do their job is at least kind of going to give us some hope for that defense. But all these games, again, staying under that 40-point threshold. Now they're going to play the Steelers. So one note I did want to bring up about Deshaun Watson is that obviously this is his first game against the Steelers. So if you go back a couple years and you look at these matchups, because they have played in the last week of the season pretty consistently. So this is going back to, I believe, 2020. Yeah, 2020, you have them at 24-22 with Cleveland winning. A couple of things about this game. One, this was the year that Ben Roethlisberger was hurt. You had Mason Rudolph starting back there. Rudolph actually throws a pick at about the 50-yard line in the fourth quarter, and the Browns, that's how they end up going up to 24 points. They had pretty much been stuck at, I believe it was 16, because they went for the 2-point conversion in that one, for the good like I believe all of the third quarter, half the third quarter when they scored, and then all of the fourth quarter until about like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game with that pick. And then Rudolph comes back and it's a last minute touchdown drive that gets the total to 46 here. And it's one of those where it looked like Cleveland honestly just kind of took their foot off the gas and was like, look, we'll let you score, and it's gonna come down to the 2-point conversion, which is where they stopped them. Just not a whole lot of offense. That game looked really slow. Cleveland pretty much dominated the entire game, and the score really wasn't as close as it looks. Like I said, in the last 2 minutes of the game, it really does seem like Cleveland just kind of takes their foot off the gas and says, go ahead and score. We'll just beat you on the 2-point conversion and then get the hell out of here. Also, though, to note, a lot of these players obviously are not in the room anymore. Of course, Rudolph is not the starter at this point. Cleveland no longer has Baker Mayfield. There's no longer Jarvis Landry on this team. Juju Smith-Schuster, I believe he was hurt at this particular game anyways. Claypool is no longer there. So a lot of the key players from this game, like Claypool had 101 yards. He's not going to be there. Cleveland, I know Mayfield had a pretty decent day on this particular game, and he's obviously not in the room anymore. So there's a couple of things there. Now, on top of that, though, if we go to the following year, I believe if they didn't play the last week, they played second to last week. Yeah, so second to last week when they played, and this one the Steelers did win. This is last year, 26-14, and this is Ben Roethlisberger's last game against Cleveland, or his last home game there with the Steelers, of course. So, and this ends up being a 40-point total. Now, a couple things to note on this one. Number one, Cleveland really has a fourth quarter touchdown that's, in my eyes, kind of some BS, because there was a pass interference called in the end zone. They were at about the 30-yard line, so it's possible that they score anyways. But the fact is that they end up getting this pass interference in the end zone, which was just kind of a ticky-tack. Like, the ball wasn't even going to this particular receiver. It looked like the safety maybe just put a hand on him or something like that. Just real iffy. And at that point, it was, I believe, a 19-7. So entering the fourth quarter of this game, the total was like 13-7. It was very well under the total. So then you get that to kind of bail out Cleveland, and they end up going for it. Obviously, they get the touchdown. That's how they get to 14. And even at that point, it was still 20-14 or 19-14. I apologize. And it's really just last minute again. They end up getting some just kind of lucky shot down the field, where it looks like Cleveland's already kind of packed it in, and they're going, they're ready to get the hell out of there. About a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, and the Steelers get a shot downfield. They get the touchdown. So again, this is Ben Roethlisberger. Very emotional game. He's over there crying, and the Steelers fans are chanting and all that kind of stuff. And just 2 touchdowns within the last 4 minutes of the game, where it's just, I don't want to say it's unrepeatable, because it happens, and it looks like these last minute touchdowns and these last minute heartbreakers, it's a gimme for these kind of games, right? They happen. So really what we're hoping for here, especially if you get if you can get the 40.5, obviously do that now. And if you can get to 41, even better. But what you're really hoping for here is that we have very similar games to this, and or we just have some things, just one thing go our way. Now, whether that's a fourth down conversion that doesn't go right, a touchdown attempt that ends up turning into a field goal, or a touchdown attempt that ends up no points, right? Like a 4th and goal that just doesn't get converted, a pick in the end zone, a flag that sets somebody's back, a missed field goal, any of those things, just one of them is really what we're aiming for. Now, the backup plan to that, right? The backup way that we win this game is that we have a lot of inexperienced players playing in this divisional rivalry, where both coaches are aware of, both of the defenses are aware of, and really the Steelers are coming into this game needing to win, whereas the Browns, not so much as far as playoff aspirations are concerned. But because of the divisional rivalry, I'm not putting it past Cleveland to say, you know what, we're at least going to try to win this game just to keep your ass out of the playoffs. It's very possible. It happens. It's a rivalry for a reason, right? So with that being said, we're looking at Deshaun Watson, who has never played in this game, has never played in this Pittsburgh rivalry before. Not to say that he's played in other games, played in big games, he's been an NFL player for a while, he was a great college player, so he's been in these big moments, but this is the first time he is entering this particular rivalry game, and he is going to, in my opinion, struggle a little bit, at least to get started here. You have guys like TJ Watt who are going to be gunning after him. It's probably going to be, on their mind to get into Deshaun Watson's face and get him off his mark as quickly as possible, because if they can keep him contained and they can keep really this Cleveland offense one-dimensional and trying to just give it to Nick Chubb, whether Nick Chubb has success or not, they're probably going to take very long to actually score in this game. Now, if you look at DVOA scoring, or DVOA for defense, Pittsburgh is ranked 11th in DVOA defense, but they are ranked number 4 in rushing DVOA. So Nick Chubb, the X factor for Cleveland, should be at least kind of forced into a bad situation here. Don't get me wrong, I fully expect him to have his numbers. I actually believe he's probably going to have over 100 yards rushing, but he's going to have to earn it. He's going to take a lot of time, a lot of carries. It should not be just big chunk yardage after chunk yardage. The Steelers are going to be there to play, and they're going to be there to get into Deshaun Watson's face and get in that backfield and keep him on the ground, make him, commit some turnovers, underthrow some passes, just be a problem in that backfield. And TJ Watt is the X factor. Now, the other part of this game here is kind of a revenge factor. If you remember back earlier this season, these two teams did play. I believe it was week 3. It was. And the Browns actually won this game. Now, a couple of things about that. One, this is Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, it's not Deshaun Watson. 2, TJ Watt did not play in this game. And 3, the 29-17 score is actually not as disparaging as it may seem. Remember that this is the game, and I believe it was a video pick that I put out, but I know I definitely bet it because it's very, very imprinted in my brain. The last play of the game, the Steelers are just trying to get back in the game, and they're trying to do like a lateral bullshit with 5 seconds left or whatever, 6 seconds left, sorry. And they fumble the lateral. The Browns run it back and get a score, right? They get 6 points at the very end, like literally with 0 seconds on the clock. Didn't do anything. They were already winning the game, but it fucked me over because it took us out of the cover. It was going to be 23-17. We had Steelers +6, and we were going to at least get the push, and they end up not because of that damn thing. But like I said, a couple things about that. So without that touchdown, you're looking at, again, a 40-point game, which is why I'm saying that 40.5 or 41, if you can get it, is very, very vital. The 40, I still like it. I still think there's enough factors going our way to take the 40, but really you want to get that 40.5 at least. Secondly, though, this is a revenge game. The Steelers are coming out in this game. They need this game to win. They need to get into the playoffs. A couple things to happen, but number one, and the one thing that they can control, is winning this damn game. Plus, again, they want to get some revenge in this one because that was just a hell of an ass kicking with that last second, like getting kicked in the nuts. So that's why I expect the Steelers to come out and win this game. Now, these games where the team comes in with motivation, they need to win to get in the playoffs, those teams have not traditionally done very well. So I'm not taking the Steelers, but I am saying that regardless of who wins this game, I expect this to be a really tough, really just drag-out fight kind of game, and I could definitely see this being like a 13-16 kind of game, 14-13, something like that, where we don't even break 30 points. Again, divisional opponents. Second matchup, one team needs to win to get in the playoffs. One team has revenge on the mind. We have some players here that are not familiar with the rivalry. We have Deshaun Watson, who just has not looked great. We have Mike Tomlin, who's been looking really pissed off this year, especially the last couple weeks. I think he has gone above and beyond to try and get this team into the playoffs, but more importantly, to just try and win this particular game and save his record. So, with all of that being said, give me the under 40.5 for this particular game. Like I said, if you can find a 41, which I don't think that you will, but if you can, obviously grab it. But the under 40.5 is going to be the official video pick. One other thing on this one, because there are some last second shenanigans that seem to happen with these damn teams almost every freaking time, you may want to look to take the under in this game as well for the first half. Depending on where you look, it's either going to be at 20.5, 20, or 21. Most likely the 20. But even at that, I do like the first half under. Notoriously in these games, we're looking at, maybe 7 points in the first quarter and maybe another 7 to 10 in the second quarter. So if you can get it under 20 for the first half, I like it. And you kind of avoid that last second shenanigan issue with these two damn teams. So I'm all over that one as well. So those are the picks, guys. There's a couple of other plays that I really like on the board, just in case you're looking for some leans. One of them is going to be the Bills. So the Bills -7 at the Patriots are playing against the Patriots. The Bills, I know the Hamlin thing may be on their mind still, but there's no way that the Patriots should even be close in this game. The Patriots, when they play a good team, they get their ass handed to them. And so the Bills going out there, beating the shit out of the Patriots, making sure that they get the best seed possible. Definitely something I would look at. The Rams, back when it was at 6.5, I really liked the Rams plus 6.5. I'm not touching it right now. I would maybe look if you get the 6 to get the Rams plus 6. Again, though, I'm not really interested in touching that one right now, but I do like that, the Rams side of it, at least if I were going to. And then lastly, Cowboys-Washington. I like Washington in this game. Like I was saying, traditionally, if a team really needs to get the win, against the spread has not been a great way to play those teams. It's very, very possible that Dallas ends up winning this game, but I don't think they cover the 7 points. It's probably going to be something like, Cowboys by 3 or somewhere around there. I know I just said Washington hasn't really been looking like they're interested in playing football right now, and it's still the case. But the Cowboys, again, are going to really try to keep as little out on the field as possible. Tony Pollard's probably not playing this game. They don't want to get Zeke or Dak hurt, of course, before the playoffs start. They're going to really especially try to keep their defensive players healthy. A lot of those guys are kind of nursing some little injuries that they've been playing through. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys even get to like a 14-point lead or 17-point lead and just call the dogs off, just put in all the backups, all the subs, and just kind of see what happens from there. That may be as early as halftime and maybe third quarter, maybe beginning of the fourth quarter. But either way, I do think the Cowboys are going to not be playing like a quote-unquote full game here. So give me the Washington Commanders if you're going to touch that game. But like I said, 2 official picks. And that's pretty much it as far as what I'm actually going to be putting money down on. Ravens, Bengals, under 40, 40.5 for myself. And then Steelers, Browns, under 41 or 40.5 for the video. But thank you again. Sorry for the long wait, guys. Hopefully y'all follow me with this one, and hopefully we'll get some damn money back here. You guys have a great day, a great week, and we'll see you in the playoffs. Number 1 week for myself the last couple years is going to be the first week of the playoffs at Wild Card Round. Y'all have a great day.